I am so very proud to be able to be on stage to introduce my friend and your next United States Senator, soon-to-be Senator, now Speaker, Marco. Very much. I want to thank all of you for being here and for what you're doing on behalf of all these candidates that are running around the state. The first thing I want to introduce you to my family because I'm glad that they were able to travel with us here today. Some of you have not met them before, so let me start with my mom, who's sitting down, but she's here today. My mom, Oria. Going to be, but we're working on a special present for her that hopefully you're going to help us give her. I have my wife Jeanette here. Jeanette is not able to join us all the time on the campaign trail, but she's with us here today, and I'm glad she can be. And I have my 4 children. I want to introduce you to each of them. Let me start with Amanda. She's our oldest. She's 10 years old. Amanda. Daniela, who's 8 years old. Daniela. And then we have Anthony, who's 5 years old. And when we got here, he climbed right to the stage and grabbed the microphone. And last but not least is our youngest, Dominic, who just woke up from a nap, so he should be pretty happy. He's 3 years old. I'm glad they were able to join us here today, and I'm glad. Listen, we're just here for a few minutes to see each of you and shake your hand, and thank you. I want to thank you for everything you've done and everything you're doing to help us in this campaign. This is an important election. I don't have to convince you how important this election is. You guys understand that already. And as I've been saying throughout the day, look, I'm pretty convinced that we have won the battle of ideas in this campaign. You know why I know we've won the battle of ideas? Because our opponents aren't talking about ideas anymore. They stopped talking about that stuff weeks ago. You don't hear them bragging anymore about Obamacare. No. You don't hear them bragging about the stimulus package. No. Because these things failed. That's right. And so they're not talking about those things anymore. We have been proud that we have spent the last 21 months talking about ideas, about issues, about things that real people care about in the real world. And so that's what this campaign is based on. Now it's time to vote. Our job now is to get people to turn out and vote. That's our job. And that's why I want to come here and thank you guys today. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it, Mark. Listen, I got heckled on a debate. So what do you think? I know that here with you today are people that are walking door to door, that are knocking on. What we're looking for right now is for people to vote. I believe we have won their hearts and minds. Not just me, but I believe our candidates have won their hearts and minds. Yes. But now we've got to turn that into action. Now we've got to get those people who support us and are on our side and turn them into voters. Because if people are sitting at home, it doesn't matter how much they agree with us. It isn't going to change anything. And so what we need to continue to do is knock on those doors and make those phone calls. And that's what's happening. I'm very encouraged with what's happening with turnout in the early voting period and in the absentee period, but we have to continue to do that. That's what it's going to take to win. And if we can win this election in a way that will send a powerful message throughout the political process. You see, I think November 2nd has a chance to be a really special day. I think it has a chance to be one of those days when we are not just going to elect people to office, but we're going to send a powerful message. And that message is that we are tired of business as usual. That's right. We are tired. We are tired of governmental leaders that think that politicians create jobs. We know that jobs are created by everyday people that start a business or expand an existing business. And what we need is a government that makes it easier for them to do that, not harder. That's right. Yeah. We're tired of a national debt that's growing so fast that it leaves our children on the verge of inheriting a debt unimaginable to most of any Americans. And we are tired of leaders that do not understand that the world is a better and a safer place when America is the strongest country in the world. What this election is about is what direction our country is going to head. What kind of country are we going to leave our children with? Are we going to leave them with a diminished nation? Or are we going to leave them with what they deserve to inherit, the greatest country in the history of the world?
Yes. Yes.
And I think it's clear to all of us and to a growing number, if not majority of Americans, that if we stay on the road that Washington has us on now, our children will be the first Americans ever to inherit a diminished country. And that's unacceptable to us. And so that's why we are running this campaign. You know, when I travel with my children on this campaign trail, it serves as a vivid reminder of the stakes and how high they truly are. Because every generation of American has left the next generation better off. But if we continue to do things the way they're doing them now in Washington, our children and grandchildren will be the first Americans that won't inherit that. And that's not right. No. And so that's what this election has to be about for us. You remember back in February and March of 2009, when those when we were watching what was happening in Washington, and that frustration was bubbling, and we answered, we wondered when was our turn to vote. We watched those elections in Virginia. We watched those elections in New Jersey in 2009, and we couldn't wait for our turn to vote. We watched that election in Massachusetts when Scott Brown was elected in January of 2010, and we couldn't wait for our turn to vote. Then came those primaries, and primaries are always fun, but that's like an inter-squad scrimmage. And we couldn't wait for our turn to vote. Well, our turn is here. Our turn is now. We have a chance in less than 72 hours to have the kind of election that doesn't just send people into government, it sends a message to the government. And that message will be very clear. We do not like the direction that our country is headed. And we are sending your way people that will stand up to this and offer in its place a clear alternative. An alternative that will allow us to leave our children what they deserve to inherit. The single greatest country in all of human history. Thank you guys so much.